You ever meet someone who smiles to your face while robbing you blind? Someone who hides behind polite words and paperwork. Thinking they're untouchable? That was my real estate agent. He sold me my dream home with a lie buried deep in the fine print. I didn't yell. I didn't sue. I waited. And once a year, on the exact date he'd scam me, I reminded him of what he did, with one anonymous gift. 6 years later, he'd lost everything. If you've ever dreamed of karma catching up to someone who thought they could get away with it, hit that like button right now. Subscribe for more stories where patience turns into perfect revenge. Because today's story, this one blooms beautifully. 7 years ago, I bought my first home. It was more than just 4 walls. It was 10 years of hard work, skipped holidays, and every ounce of savings I had. Buying alone meant compromise. I couldn't afford a big freestanding house, so I looked for a smaller property, something affordable but private. After months of searching, I found it, a cozy unit on what was advertised as a shared block, but with a freehold title. If you've never dealt with property law, here's what that means. A freehold title means total ownership. No shared responsibility. No meddling neighbors. Freedom. For an introvert like me, that was everything. The agent handling the sale was local, someone whose name floated in community circles. I didn't know him personally, but we had mutual acquaintances. That gave me comfort. Everything looked perfect. I signed the papers, moved in, and felt that wave of pride you only get when you finally make something your own. But 5 months later, there was a knock on my door that changed everything. It was my next-door neighbor, the owner of the other property on the block. He wanted to discuss insurance for the shared walkway. That struck me as odd because, under a freehold title, there shouldn't be a shared policy. He sent me a copy of the insurance documents, and my stomach dropped. The property wasn't freehold at all. It was strata titled. For anyone unfamiliar, strata ownership means a property is part of a communal block. Shared costs, shared maintenance, shared rules. Suddenly, I wasn't the owner of my own peaceful retreat. I was part of a collective I had never agreed to. I called my conveyancing lawyer immediately. He was as shocked as I was. The contract had been written and exchanged under the claim of a freehold title. Somewhere between the agent, the paperwork, and the sale, a massive error, or worse, deception, had occurred. Emails confirmed it. The agent had told my lawyer multiple times that the title was freehold. I still have those messages. So I set up a meeting with him. I brought every document, every ad that had freehold title plastered on it, every email he'd sent confirming the same. He looked at me across the table, calm as anything, and said, "That's not my fault. The paperwork was provided by the seller. No apology, no offer to help fix it, just indifference." That was the moment something inside me hardened. I tried mediation. All I asked was that when I eventually sold the house, he would cover the selling fees. It was a fair request. His mistake or deceit had permanently affected the property's value. He refused, offered me a measly $1,000 to go away. I could have taken him to court. I had evidence. The mediator even told me I'd likely win. But at the time, my health wasn't great. I didn't have the energy for a legal battle. So instead, I smiled. I shook his hand, and I promised myself that someday he'd remember me. I didn't know how yet, but I would make sure of it. Months passed. Life moved on, but I never forgot. One evening, curiosity got the better of me. I looked him up on Facebook. His profile wasn't private, rookie mistake. Photos of him on holidays, smiling with his wife, celebrating with his friends, living the high life. One album caught my eye, Boys on Tour. A trip abroad, full of drinks and beaches and bravado. Something clicked. I ran a quick business registry search, found his address, and quietly tucked it away. Then, on the anniversary of my home purchase, 1 year to the day I'd signed that cursed contract, I sent him a gift, a bouquet of flowers, expensive ones, and a note. "Dear real estate agent, remembering you on this, our special day. She has your eyes. Love, L." I chuckled as I dropped it off for delivery. It was just vague enough to sound dangerous, just personal enough to make a spouse suspicious. The next year I did again. Different flowers. Slightly altered note. Thinking of you today. The years haven't changed you. Love, L. Every year, same day, a new bouquet. Sometimes roses, sometimes lilies, always with that same line. On this, our special day, it became a ritual, a secret between me and karma. I didn't stop at flowers. Every so often, I'd mail a postcard from the country he'd vacationed in. A scrawled message in feminine handwriting. Wish you were here again. Love, L. All of it sent anonymously, postmarked from abroad. I never overdid it. Never enough to warrant police attention. Just a slow, creeping shadow of doubt. I imagine the questions his wife must have asked. Who is L? Why is she sending you these? And him, fumbling, denying, sweating through his lies. It was art. 6 years. 6 anniversaries. 6 perfectly timed deliveries. Then, about 3 weeks ago, I heard the news through those same small-town connections that once made me trust him. He was divorced, lost his home, no longer a real estate agent. His wife had finally put all together. The flowers, the postcards, the dates. He confessed, said he cheated years ago on a trip abroad. And here's the poetic part. That trip, the boys on tour one I found online, he'd actually come back from it with an STD. Gave it to his wife. Somehow convinced her he'd caught it another way. So when the flowers arrived every year, on the same week he'd cheated, she thought the past had come back to haunt her. Eventually, she snapped. He admitted to the affair. The marriage imploded. He lost his house, half his retirement savings, and his reputation. And me? I just kept my little secret. I never meant for it to go that far. Honestly, at first, it was just about letting him feel something. A sliver of the helplessness he'd caused me. I wanted him to squirm, to question his own stability. But the universe has a funny sense of humor. Turns out, karma doesn't always need a sledgehammer. Sometimes, it just needs a whisper, a soft note, a bunch of flowers, a name that never existed. When I first started, I thought revenge had to be dramatic to work, that I'd need to expose him publicly, drag him through court, or ruin his business. But no, real revenge is quieter, patient. It's the kind that seeps into someone's life slowly, unnoticed, until it's too late. Every bouquet was a reminder of what he'd done, not just to me, but to his wife. The guilt ate him from the inside out. I didn't destroy him. He destroyed himself. I just lit the fuse. Picture it. He's sitting at breakfast, sipping his coffee when the doorbell rings. A delivery man stands there with a bouquet, roses this time. His wife takes a card, smiling. But as she reads, her face falls. Remembering you on this, our special day. She looks at him. What special day? He stammers. She asks again. The silence stretches. That's how it started. The unraveling. The moment the perfect life he built on lies began to collapse. And year after year, I kept the memory alive. One delivery at a time. Sometimes, revenge doesn't roar, it whispers. You don't have to raise your voice or lift a finger. You just need to plant the seed. Water it once a year. And watch karma bloom. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most poetic revenge you've ever heard of? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories where patience isn't weakness, it's power. Because some people forget that karma has perfect timing.